Okay, Outside the Wall, last song, number 13, second CD, Pink Floyd, The Wall. Outside the Wall, it starts with a big explosion. If you've been to a concert for Pink Floyd, typically this is when the wall comes down. This is an explosion, a plane or something. And you get this feeling, okay, we've come full circle now. And this beautiful, what sounds to be like a clarinet, maybe even a harmonica on some level, starts this song out, and then all of a sudden it goes into the lyrics. It says, all alone or in twos, the ones who really love you. They walk up and down outside the wall, some hand in hand, some gathering together in bands. The bleeding hearts and artists make their stand. Listen to that, the bleeding hearts and artists make their stand. And when they've given you their all, some stagger and fall. After all, it's not easy banging your heart against some mad bugger's wall. These are the people that sought to communicate through the wall. These are the people that never left. These are the people, the bleeding heart, do-gooder artist who could relate to the people behind the wall, that the wall can come down, it's worth salvaging, you're worth it, and the wall comes down. Who are these bleeding heart people banging their head against some mad bugger's wall? Who are these bleeding heart artists? You know, I feel like one right now. I feel like I'm in a role of looking at this wall from having experienced it and having been set free from it. And I get the impression in my own heart as I talk to people, I know you're behind that wall. Not that I have done anything to deserve not being in front of it anymore. I haven't. It's been done on my behalf. But at the same time, I feel like I have this right to speak from both perspectives because I have both. And I think it'd be irresponsible of me just to walk up and down your wall and not seek to communicate through that wall to you that it doesn't have to be this way anymore. You don't have to be I'm just anymore. You don't have to be lust-ridden anymore. You don't have to walk on thin ice anymore. You don't have to be repressed. You can thrive, you can grow, you can be creative, you can be yourself. You don't have to be alone anymore. You don't have to be betrayed anymore. There is something else on the other side of that wall. It reminds me of the story of a guy who's walking down the street and he falls in this deep hole. And the hole is so deep he can't get out of it, can't climb up. Every time he tries to climb up, he slips back down. So he notices as he looks up at the hole, he notices a priest walking by and he says, Father, he says, I'm down in this hole, I could really use some help. He says, could you really help me? And the priest writes out a prayer and throws it down in the hole, walks on. So he looks at the prayer, he prays it, whatever, he's kind of sitting there. And a doctor comes by. He says, Doctor, he says, look down here in this hole. He says, I'm a nervous wreck. He says, I'm full of stress. The doctor writes out a prescription, throws it down in the hole. And he just sits there with his prayer and his prescription. A friend comes walking by and he notices it's his best friend. And he looks up at him and he says, hey, he said, buddy, he says, I'm down here, look where I am. And all of a sudden the friend jumps in the hole with him. And they're both standing there in the middle of the hole with the slick sides on it. And he looks at him and he goes, why didn't you throw a rope down? Why didn't you come and get me? And he says, don't worry about it, buddy. He says, I've been in this hole before. I know how to get out. That's it right there. That's, I know how to get out, is the bleeding heart artist who can relate to where you're at, who can walk up and down the wall and bang their heart against some mad bugger's wall because you're worth it. Because you're worth it and you know that you were worth it. I was worth it. I've been behind the wall. I've been cut off. I built it with my own hands in many respects. But it's far better on the other side. It's far better when there's no wall at all. And I'm telling you, the only way I know that I can say that out of my experience is to say it's through a personal relationship in Christ. It sounds cliche, it sounds trite, it sounds so old. But friend, it is the truth. I don't even know to say it another way. I resisted that so much my whole entire life until the time I got to the bottom of that hole and I just had to have someone jump in there with me and said, I've been where you are, let's get out of here. So anyway, that's Pink Floyd, The Wall. Heavy bricks, dude. Heavy bricks on fragile ice that inevitably will come your way in life. The question is, do we know how to handle them? Do we know how to deal with them? Do we know how to get that wall torn down? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the album. Go back and listen, see what we can learn. That's Life Points. That's what it's all about.
Some hand in hand, and some gathered together